Joe McKenzie here, your watercolor coach. Let's talk about triads. Triads and painting with more than one color at a time. And we're going to talk about the top box and the bottom box. So let's look at how we got here. All right, so here comes the demo. The demo is the top box. I used one color, Naples yellow, to put on the top of that box. And yet each time I put a color in, I'm going to make a color dab. Oh, I didn't frame that very well. All right, now this is ultramarine blue and some rose and also some Prussian blue. So in other words, I'm using three colors to accomplish the task of filling in the mass underneath the box. And now I'll put the three colors near each other. What I did was I used those three colors to create that mass underneath the box. So one color at the top of the box and three colors, or a triad, for the space underneath the box. Now I'm going to do a side of the box and I'm going to use a triad again. I think there's Naples yellow, a little bit of orange, and again some of that rose of some kind. So I'm using three colors. This is the triad idea, using three colors to mass in one space. And you can see the power of that. So we have the space underneath the box, which is a dark triad, no triad at the top of the box, and on the side of the box I used a mid-tone triad. Now I have the front of the box to do. The front of the box is darker. So I'm going to use two colors for that. I don't have to do anything here. What I'm trying to show is that you can use more than one color to fill in a mass and therefore create value. And watercolor lets you do this in a really beautiful way. Sometimes with a triad, sometimes with three colors, and sometimes with two. But the point is to use more than one. Now for the space behind the box, I'm using a light triad, which is Naples yellow, a little bit of rose, and again some ultramarine blue. Now that becomes a neutral, or what would really be a gray, but you can see it's composed of many colors. You can see lots of colors in that space. So that is an example of how to watercolor, making lots of color dabs and using them together to fill in masses. That's what I mean when I say mass mix for color. I mixed for color and then I filled in my masses, mass for value. Now here's what would happen if I didn't do that. If I simply mixed for color, and didn't consider using more than one color at a time. And you're going to see how less powerful this box looks than the one before. Again, the top of the box is a Naples yellow. The bottom of the box is ultramarine blue. I mixed up a gray for the space behind the box. And now I'm going to do the sides of the box. Let's see. But you can see it's not composed of many colors. There's just one color. So it reads as being much flatter than the box above it. So it takes some time to do this. You end up mixing a lot more paint. You spend more time mixing than you actually do painting. So now let's look at them again. There's the box where I don't use triad work at all or any mixes, and there's the box where I do. Now I'm always mixing paint. What I mean is letting wet paint mix into wet paint on the paper. So there's an example of not doing that. This is simply matchy-matchy, finding the right colors and putting them into the correct spaces, which is ends up with a pretty flat result and doesn't harness the full power of watercolor. And now let's look at what happens if you look at those spaces or those masses as really a variety of colors, three colors at a time or two colors at a time. And you can see it starts to have that watercolory, shimmery kind of magical effect. So that's what we try to do with triad work. Typically a triad is a red, a yellow, and a blue, but in this case I demonstrated that I not always doing that, but always looking for at least two colors to accomplish my task. So that's a tip for the day. Remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paint's wet, mass for value, mix for color, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.